Hello. My name is Ernest Howard, and this is my first recording. And I got to figure out later how to do a YouTube thing. But I just decided that I'm going to do this video right now. So I don't know what I'm going to call any of it, but the book I'm reading right now is Knowing God's Plan. And Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzato, the precise system through which God directs every aspect of existence. The Torah Classics Library, with new translation and extensive annotation. Yeah. Okay, so anyways. So here we go, here we go, here we go, go, here we go, here we go. Let's start this show. All right. So anyways, on page 298, which is what page I'm on right now, today is Shabbat. What is today? It's 10:45 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, February 3rd, 2024. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. So I'm on page 298, and it says, this is a summary of chapter 5, the general nature of evil and its effect on man. So definitely going to, and I just want to add some some commentary on this. Are you kidding me? Commentary from a guy like me? What do I know? Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's all good. It's all good. So I'm going to think out loud, okay? I'm going to think out loud here. So here we go. This is the page I'm on, okay? And I'm going to read, and I'm just going to provide some commentary. Summary of chapter 5. The general nature of evil and its effect on man. And I don't know, I'm probably going to go 10 or 12 minutes with this video, and then I'll do another one later as I keep going. But I'm just going to talk about the next 3 pages. It's a summary of chapter 5, and of course 298, page 298. There's a lot here in 2.5, 3 pages, and then we go into chapter 6, which is specific aspects of evil. Okay, so the general nature of evil and its effect on man. Okay, number 1, how evil comes into being. How evil comes into being. Okay, so we already know in a general sense that man's task during the current period is to remove all evil from himself and from the world. Now we must understand the precise details of this task. However, it is impossible to do this until we first clarify the nature of evil itself. So, number 1, how evil comes into being. We already know in a general sense that man's task, us, during the current period, which is, we're within the 6,000 years of creation. I think year 1, I believe, started back at Mount Sinai, right? And then right now we're in the year 57 something, as far as the Hebrew calendar goes, and in the, I hope I'm calling it correctly, the Gregorian calendar, which is us on the West Coast here, United States, we are in 2024, so 57 something. And so when we are at 6,000 years, which is going to be like, what, 200 and something years from now, that is kind of like this period that's being referred to when it says that man's task during the current period is to remove all evil from himself and from the world. Okay, evil is a totally new phenomenon that God created in order to test man and give him reward. It is something contrary to God's essence, period. However, since God's power is unlimited, he is able to create something that is totally opposite to him, period. Evil is only a temporary phenomenon which is contained within specific defined limits. Its whole purpose is to give reward to the righteous. So evil is a totally new phenomenon that God created in order to test man and give him reward. A totally new phenomenon, because what God emanates from God, that God is emanating, that created all of this billions of years ago, the Big Bang and all of that stuff, that's from God. God is emanating it. And that stuff is from God. Like, this exists in God that we're seeing and that we are experiencing all these years. But evil is not. Evil is something that God is like, oh, I need to make this new thing, because only good comes from God. So evil is like, well, how does that come from God? It's like, oh no, God made that, or created that. So evil is a totally new phenomenon that God created in order to test man. Why did God create this new phenomenon, evil? To test man and give him, us, man, reward. It is something contrary to God's essence. Contrary, because God's essence is beautiful in love. And evil's like, oh, it's not beautiful in love. So it's contrary. So God had to create that. However, since God's power is unlimited, he is able to create something that is totally opposite to him. So these questions we might be having is, how does God do that? How does God, how do you create something that is not in you to start with? Well, God's power is unlimited. He's able to do it, although we might not be able to. He is able to create something that is totally opposite to him. Evil is only a temporary phenomenon, okay? It doesn't say okay. Evil is only a temporary phenomenon, which is contained within specific defined limits. Its whole purpose is to give reward to the righteous. Okay, so evil is something God created that was not a part of him, because God is only good. And in addition to it being created, it's temporary. And it is contained within specific defined limits. So not only does evil exist because God created it, but God also established limits within that evil, boundaries for it to operate in. And this is all in order to test man and give man reward, us. Its whole purpose is to give reward to the righteous. So, new paragraph. Before we go on, we need to explain a fundamental principle. Every single thing in the world comes into existence through an emanation of God's creative power. Everything that we can ever imagine, everything that we ever have seen, everything we will ever see, everything in existence in this world comes into existence through an emanation of God's creative power, okay? All right, period. These emanations do not bear any relation to God's infinite essence. So everything we've ever experienced and we ever will experience, all of our existence, everything does not bear any relation to God's infinite essence. Okay, isn't that interesting? Which is totally beyond any created thing. So we cannot say that we see a tree, oh, God is a tree. We see a car, we see evil, we see bliss. We cannot make that assumption that everything that is being emanated that we experience, oh, that's an example of God. We can't even say that. Okay? Before we go on, we need to explain a fundamental principle. Every single thing in the world comes into existence through an emanation of God's creative power. These emanations do not bear any relation to God's infinite essence. Why? which is totally, because it is totally beyond, because God is totally beyond any created thing. Period. They were brought into being according to the needs of the created world. So God creates this world, and these emanations are like, oh, they're here because this created world I made needs this. And so they were brought into being according to the needs of the created world. Thus, both the causes of existing things, the emanations, and the existing things themselves are new phenomena that God created. Thus, both of the causes of existing things, so you've got a couple of things going on here. You got the causes of existing things, and that is, we have these existing things, and we want to look beyond that and say, what is the cause of that existing thing? The emanations. And the existing things themselves. A pen. The causes of this pen, the emanation of this pen, is one thing. And the existing thing itself, this pen, are new phenomena that God created. There are many different types of emanations according to the different types of created entities that he wished to create. So this is so the emanation coming from our Creator, the emanation that is related to this pen existing, the emanation itself is an example of a different type of emanation, a type of emanation. And this is also the emanated thing. There are many different types of emanations according to the different types of created entities. So this is a created entity, and it's connected to a specific emanation. The emanation of a pin, now we have an actual pin. There are many different types of emanations according to the different types of created entities that he wished to create, period. In reality, in their infinite source, their infinite source, T-H-E-I-R, infinite source, all these emanations are one. But we receive them and perceive them as separate emanations. In reality, in their infinite source, so all of these emanations that are specific emanations for a specific thing, like a pin, and then you have the actual emanated thing like a pin. So going back to the actual emanations themselves, all those emanations together, a pin, a tree, a mouse, whatever, all those emanations are one before they become the emanated. Or maybe they're one while they're becoming the emanated. But they are all one. Okay, so all of those emanations that our Creator does for us in this existing world we're in, that we're perceiving, all those emanations are one. You know, that's kind of hard to wrap your head around. It's hard for me. You know, how is all that one? So there's two steps, okay? Remember, there's just two steps. You got the emanations, and then you got the emanated things. So in the emanations are all one. So in reality, in their infinite source, in the infinite source, the infinite, we're in a finite world that we are experiencing. You got this infinite world. In their infinite source, all these emanations are one. But we receive them, and we receive them, and we perceive them as separate emanations. So as this pin is being emanated alongside this little post-it note thing that's being emanated, that's all one in their infinite source. The emanation itself is all one. But as we receive the emanation of this post-it note pad and this pen, as we receive these emanations, and then we perceive them, we go, oh, there's a post-it note pad and here's a pen, we perceive them as separate emanations. These are separate. Okay. 15 minutes. Oh, good time to stop. All right. We'll do another one in a bit. Love and light. Thank you so much.